Alright everybody, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be covering something a little bit unusual, something a little bit new, as far as my channel is concerned. You see, I've been sent a video by a friend of mine, a fellow content creator named Parallax, and I went ahead and I took a quick look at it, and I only watched like 10 seconds of it, and I immediately knew I needed to stop watching it and cover it for, watch it for the first time, react to it on stream, and respond to it, of course. Let's just say it's a Fox News segment, and the headline is North Korea defector slams woke U.S. schools. I think you can see why I was like, yep, it's time to, I gotta cover this shit. This is some premium content. This is some premium fucking content. I gotta cover this shit. Yeah. Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready for this? I don't know what to expect here, but I'm ready. Let's do it.
It's the story of Yeonmi Park. She joins me now on why she fears there's not much time left for America to walk its way out of woke. Yeonmi, great to meet you in person.
Thank you for having me on.
Your life in North Korea, having your parents taken away, you and your sister, you were 9 and she was 13, living by yourself, having to eat bugs to survive, escaping to China, finding your way to South Korea and then to America, and then you find yourself...
Okay. I know I'm going to look like a massive piece of shit for saying this, but I'm going to anyway, alright? Every time some, like, conservative figure who's gone through, like, a tragic story that's meant to, like, make them look really good and sympathetic goes on to a public, like, conservative media platform to, like, tell their story and push it, like, conservative agenda, when looked into further, the story is very easy to poke holes in, or there's a lot of, like, twistings of the truth, overreactions, overrepresentations, I don't know, whatever it may be, right? So, like, is this person known? And is there any, like, lies or bullshit or proof that she's a grifter that I should know going into this? I do not know who this woman is, but I'd like to know if she's, like, a notorious grifter. She's such a grifter, she seems familiar. I think her story is real. Like, to be clear, by the way, there's nothing about being a defector from North Korea that says, like, by default, you have good political opinions, right? Like, just because someone saw, like, what the depths of, like, authoritarianism is capable of doing, like, doesn't mean they wouldn't come to another country and then immediately pursue a career in pushing authoritarianism of a similar kind. She is a real defector? As far as I can tell, that is the case. Oh my god, the baby. Why can't I hit it? Oh my god. What is my range? Why can't I hit it? What are you aiming at? Got it. It just drops beef. God damn it. Alright. Listen, the baby is very, very lethal.
Yourself sitting in Columbia University, and what did you notice?
All day long, they talk about how to destroy America. They were dying to dismantle the system.
In what way?
She's talking about North Korea right now.
Equality of outcomes, want to be a socialist. So I couldn't believe it. I mean, without capitalism, they cannot have internet.
Without capitalism, you can't have internet. Okay, so for starters, yes, obviously what, like, North Korean schools teach is propaganda and brainwashing. And so they would teach the idea that, like, that socialism is what, North Korea is doing, and this is good, and America is bad and evil, and it's way worse there, and anything that claims otherwise is lies. Like, this isn't a, like, yeah. That's not socialism, that's North Korea using socialism to sound good. Nazis did it too.
They're on their juice detox. Their problem is having too much food. And with zero gratitude, zero perspective, they were saying the enemy is a capitalism. Enemy is a white man. The exact same thing that my
enemy is the white man
in the classroom.
Because they
Wait, Okay, that would actually surprise me if there was any, like, racialized... Is there any racialized, like, sentiment to, like, North Korean propaganda hating America? Because tons of Americans aren't white. Like, I feel like it would just be they hate America and, like, the ideology. So, like, is it very racialized? There is definitely racialized sentiment in America, or in North Korea. But you'd think they'd be just as racist against, like, American black people as American white people, right? Like, they're just as American. They're just as, like, capitalist and, you know, anti-North Korean, right? They are? Okay, yeah. That's what I was thinking. Like, it seemed weird to me that, like, it was specifically, like, oh, it's the white people that are bad. Well, it's the reason why she's saying that is you're gonna find out. I'm almost certain she's gonna, like, try to claim that, like, American schools now are just like North Korean schools because they're anti-white and pro-communism or some shit.
They hate him. They told you in North Korea, America is evil. We're the problem with the world. And you're sitting in New York City, and they're saying the same thing.
Yes, I couldn't.
I didn't pre-watch this. I didn't pre-watch it. I didn't pre-watch it. I just I just don't miss.
I couldn't believe it. Like, did I just transfer back to the North Korean classroom? And they were
Jesus
saying the
Christ.
only solution is a communist revolution.
You look.
Is she actually claiming that American schools in New York City are teaching that America is evil and that the only way to make America good is a communist revolution? So, you know what's really funny to me? Is that you know she's lying, but she thinks her lie is convincing. I don't, like, maybe she just, like, I'm guessing she hasn't been in America long enough to know the context of, like, how demonized communism is and how rare it is to actually meet a communist, that she thinks it's a plausible story that a teacher would say this in an American school. Like, that anybody who has, like, any common sense in America would actually believe this story. Because, no. McCarthyism and just, like, general... Like, most teachers are certainly, like, liberal-leaning and more on, like, left-leaning. But, like, that's liberal. Like, not a lot of them are communists. And if they are, they're not, like, espousing revolutionary rhetoric to their students. That is 100% a made-up story. I call bullshit. I wish there was something more bullshit than bullshit I could call. But there's nothing.
Look at one
I call cow shit.
gender-fluid person, and you called him he, and you see him have a meltdown, or they have a meltdown in front of you.
Yeah.
Okay, we're doing the transphobia now, but hold on, chat. We're about to get a fucking achievement here. Watch this. Get over here. Get over here. Come on, little guy. Get on my head. Wait, hold on. Get on my head. Alright, watch this. Watch closely. Oh, that thing's aggressive. I need to get away from it. Watch closely. Finally, we found one. We found two of them. So if you have one of these and one of what's in this hole burrowing here, and they're very rare to spawn next to each other, you can do this. One will eat the other, and then something happens. It rains cookies. Why didn't I get the achievement? Why I didn't get the achievement for it? That's weird. Well, now cookies have rained from the sky, so now I get cookies. That's what that does.
And you actually feel bad for this person.
Yeah, because for the first time I was realizing this person was also like brainwashed like me when I was in North Korea. I believed that Kim Jong-il could read my mind because that was a brainwashing that I had to believe to survive. Now this person thinks their oppression is somehow their pronouns.
Crazy.
Yeah.
How much of a piece of shit do you have to be for you and your family to go through all this horrific shit? And not only that, but like for your like your fellow like working class, your fellow like citizens of this nation to go through this horrific shit that this regime puts them through, and then to like come out of it and like you have a platform and you could use that platform to like spread the truth and awareness about what's happening there, and like instead you're like, nah, Time to make my bag by spreading lies. For, like, right-wing propaganda, because it's more profitable. Like, it's the most evil grifting I've ever seen. Like, I want to say this is more evil than, like, Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro, who are actively pushing for genocide more and more overtly by the day. Like, this feels more evil than that.
Right? I mean, I think it's crazy, and I'm embarrassed. I want to bring you to this excerpt from your book. Professors and administrators spoke to us like children, and so many students acted accordingly. People my age, literally double my size, who appear to be incredibly fit and well-fed, sometimes reduced to tears discussing feelings they harbored that appeared to have no possible connection to anything they were supposed to be learning about. A lecture on Homer would end up with a white student crying about colonialism. A class on government would take the form of two students trying to outdo each other in LGBTQ allies.
Okay, this sounds like a ghostwriter wrote it. For starters, like, I'm sorry, but, like, I can't even imagine, like, a group of LGBT people discussing Homer or like, any of the issues she described here and making it woke. Like diverting the conversation to make it woke, even among woke left-leaning LGBT people. Like, there's no shot. This woman's just been inundated by, like, this absurd, over-the-top, like, woke propaganda field, and it's so much that it's, like, motivated her to write this book and go on Fox News and talk about what a problem it is. You know what this really is? You know how we've covered a few of those PragerU videos? Or particularly that one PragerU video, The War on Boys, and I explained what the point of that video was for young boys to see the ad pop up in some gaming video they're watching, and for it to catch their attention because it's an older woman who's identifying as a feminist, saying that men, particularly younger men, are actually the more oppressed, downtrodden, less privileged class right now. And the whole point of the video is to just basically make these young men feel like massive victims who are being coddled as a way of, like, giving them an in to the right. I covered that video, and I think this is more of, like, a national version of that. Like, here's a North Korean defector, someone who defected from North Korea, a place that most Americans regard as synonymous with hell, and they're here to tell you that the left has turned American schools into just like North Korea. They've turned it into that. Everything you feared is actually true and real, and it's happened. Go take action, pretty much, is what the idea behind this is. It's fucking wild.
In the months I spent studying criminal justice in South Korea, I never learned that injustices could be fought by spinning new ones out of thin air. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like, in some sense, like, not having a problem is an actual problem. They are making problem out of nowhere, creating injustice.
Something you'll notice has become the norm for a lot of transphobic rhetoric lately is that they no longer argue about whether or not trans people are valid in their, like, as their identities, or whether or not, like, sex and gender are the same thing, or what the things they argued to try to invalidate trans people back in the day. They don't argue these things anymore. It's the less, I mean, some of them still do, but it's the less, like, politically savvy, caught up on the times conservatives that argue like that. The times have changed. They've realized that, frankly, that's a losing battle. The science and like the actual facts are very, the consensus is very strongly on the side of trans people on that issue, and so it didn't take long for people to start cornering, like, these right-wing pundits on that topic. So now they've started to divert from the idea as to whether or not trans people are, you know, valid at all. They don't argue it or try to claim they're not. They don't make any arguments as to whether they are or aren't. They just simply state they aren't, move on from that position as if it's a given, and now start making arguments as to how trans people are actually just actively bad. Because if you can focus people's attention on how trans people are actively bad, with the presupposition that they're also delusional and their identities aren't valid, without really needing to defend that presupposition, then you basically get to skip over that entire level of discourse. Like, you don't even have to argue or convince anyone of that previous thing, because you've already gotten them sold on your second point, which is, and trans people are bad or causing some harm. they can't win the argument as to whether or not there's any like validity to the right, like the, you know, identities of trans people. So they've given that up, and now they just slander trans people as their form of propaganda.
It's out of thin air. And that's the injustice they are fighting here. Is that so-called social justice is all about fighting 10,000 different pronouns.
It's amazing you could overcome what you overcome and have this type of
different pronouns.
Logic. So you're worried about China and China's influence, especially on colleges. We were able to put this number together. So from 2017 to 2022, listen to how much they've contributed to Harvard: 79 million, Stanford 44 million, Columbia 45, University of Chicago 42, MIT 34, and Berkeley 21,
what does that mean?
And 3 million, University of Michigan.
Wait, what does it mean for China to give money to a university? These are Fox News stats we're talking here. So this could literally be like a Chinese, like how much money have Chinese people donated to these universities could literally be what this stat is. Like, why would the Chinese government be donating money to American universities? Are these just completely made up metrics? Like, they're not even just usually what Republicans will do is they won't just make up a stat for something. They'll find a stat that says something else or it represents something else and then claim it represents what they claim it represents, right? They need to have an actual number to reference. They can't, like, make up their own. So I wonder what they're pulling from to misrepresent here.
Michigan, what do they want? What do you worry about?
This is where Chinese government bought all these institutions, not just education, even Hollywood. Last year when my first book was trying to become a movie, and the producer sent me a script. In the script it says that China was my promised land. China gave me a safety and refugee, and I called the producer, what are you talking about? He said, this is the only way we can make a North Korean story in current Hollywood.
Are you kidding? So you have to make China look
it's
great,
a promised land.
Where they were.
It's because China's a massive market. And if you release a movie, you want it to do well in China. And so a lot of companies won't put out movies that make China look bad and China's allies look bad. Like, what? She's trying to claim, is this like the NKQ, the North Korean question? Is that what she's positing here? Or I guess it would be the Chinese question. Because she's trying to argue that, like, through covering for China, the U.S., like, Hollywood, like, movie industry is covering for North Korea. So, like, is this the North Korea/China question? Is that what we're getting here? So now it's China runs Hollywood. Yes, Sand, it's an anti-Semitic dog whistle. Well, I don't know, like, is she doing the JQ just, like, full-on, like, just JQing right now? Or is she, like, doing a new JQ? Is she inventing a new, like, conspiracy that's based on the same logic as the JQ? Okay, let's buff up our torch supply really fast. Make sure we got some wood with us because we don't want to get trapped down underground without any and unable to craft. Let's eat and fill up our health and continue.
Sold you as a sex slave.
Exactly.
And you escaped to South Korea
Jesus.
and China. That's an example of what they want to buy. They want to buy the elite universities with their dollars, and you're setting up a flare. You know me, Park, I'm sorry you had to go through what you're going through. I'm embarrassed that you're going through this at Columbia, but I'm so glad you have a great health.
Like, Fox News is unironically, like, shamelessly evil. It's wild that, like, such a news, like, platform that engages in so much lying and, like, blatant slandering and misrepresentation and advocacy for hate at every turn is, like, allowed to exist. I don't know. Like, in a just world, this wouldn't be allowed to exist. There's really not much else I can say about it, you know? Like, if the world was fair, there wouldn't be a Fox News. Like, this is just blatantly evil.
Head on your shoulders to not fall, be susceptible to it. Pick up while time remains, a North Korean defector's search for freedom in America. So great to meet you.
Thank you.
It's a story.
I like how they've... I love how they've always monetized it too, you know? Like, it's never like, here's some random person who was done, like, dirty by the left or whatever, and we're bringing them on just to tell their story, and they're just a random nobody, no social media presence, no like thing they're trying to kickstart, no thing they're trying to shill, or like media, like conservative media career they have, no book, no TV show, no documentary or blog or whatever they want to shout out, just a random guy. That never happens. Look at any like centrist, nonpartisan, or left-wing media source. They feature just random people off the street, or just random like people living in a neighborhood all the time, and just let them speak about like what they've gone through with a certain story. With the right, it's always like, here's this person who has a massive platform and a blatant like thing to shill here, and the narrative they're trying to push for their job, you know, like it's so clear that the entire conservatism as an ideology in this country is nothing but a money racket. That's all it's been for a while now, is a massive money racket. I don't know. That's really all I have to say about it.